Have you ever noticed that building your first $100,000 feels like pushing a boulder uphill, but the journey to $200,000 happens almost effortlessly? This isn't coincidence. Nobel Prize-winning economist Daniel Kahneman discovered that a profound psychological shift occurs at specific financial thresholds, one that completely transforms how your brain processes money decisions. This isn't about investment strategies or side hustles. It's about documented neurological changes that occur when you cross the $100,000 threshold. Kahneman's research in behavioral economics revealed that your brain literally functions differently after reaching this milestone, and understanding this transformation is worth more than any stock tip. In his groundbreaking studies on decision-making, Kahneman found that financial security fundamentally rewires your cognitive processing. The struggling brain operates in survival mode, making wealth building exponentially harder. But once you cross the threshold, a cascade of psychological advantages activates that accelerates wealth almost automatically. In the next minutes, I'll show you the 10 psychological transformations that happen after reaching $100,000. Changes so powerful they make building the next $100,000 happen in half the time. Number 3 completely contradicts everything you've been told about wealth building, but Kahneman's research proves it's the key to financial acceleration. The first transformation is what Kahneman documented as the cognitive load threshold. His research on cognitive processing showed how the brain allocates mental resources differently under financial stress versus security. When you're below the 100,000 threshold, financial decisions create what psychologists call cognitive burden. Your brain is constantly calculating, worrying, and stress testing every financial choice because the stakes feel enormous relative to your total resources. Studies in behavioral economics demonstrate that financial stress literally reduces your IQ in the moment. When you're worried about money, your brain redirects cognitive bandwidth to threat assessment, leaving less processing power for complex financial decisions. It's like trying to solve advanced mathematics while someone's screaming in your ear about an emergency. Think about this practically. When you have $5,000 saved and you're considering a $2,000 investment, your brain activates what researchers call scarcity mode. Every neuron is focused on the question, what if this goes wrong? What if I lose this money? What if I need it for an emergency? This cognitive load makes it nearly impossible to evaluate the opportunity objectively. But when you cross the 100,000 threshold, that same $2,000 decision requires dramatically less cognitive effort. Your brain no longer treats it as a threat to survival, which frees up mental bandwidth for strategic analysis. You can evaluate risk and reward more objectively, because your threat detection system isn't hijacking your decision-making process. Kahneman's research revealed that this cognitive load reduction improves decision quality across every financial category. People above the security threshold make measurably better investment choices, not because they're smarter, but because their brains have more computational resources available for analysis. They can see patterns, evaluate long-term consequences, and recognize opportunities that stressed brains simply cannot process. This cognitive load threshold explains why financial education feels useless when you're struggling. It's not that you don't understand compound interest or diversification. It's that your brain doesn't have the available bandwidth to implement sophisticated strategies when it's consumed by immediate financial threats. The knowledge is there, but the cognitive resources to apply it effectively are being redirected to survival concerns. The second transformation involves what Kahneman and Tversky called risk perception recalibration through their groundbreaking work on prospect theory. This research demonstrates how people evaluate financial risks differently depending on their current position. Below the 100,000 threshold, loss aversion dominates your decision-making. Your brain is so focused on not losing what little you have that it becomes nearly impossible to recognize intelligent risks. Prospect theory showed that losses feel approximately twice as painful as equivalent gains feel good. When you're financially vulnerable, this asymmetry becomes extreme. A potential $1,000 loss when you only have $10,000 total feels catastrophic. Your brain's threat detection system screams danger so loudly that you can't hear the opportunity. But crossing the security threshold fundamentally changes how your brain processes potential losses. That same $1,000 risk when you have $150,000 doesn't activate the same fear response. Your risk assessment becomes more balanced, allowing you to evaluate opportunities based on expected value rather than worst-case scenarios. This recalibration enables what Kahneman called intelligent risk-taking. You can distinguish between stupid risks and smart risks because your brain isn't automatically categorizing all uncertainty as dangerous. You can invest in growth assets, start businesses, make career changes, and pursue opportunities that financially stressed brains perceive as too threatening to consider. Research in behavioral finance confirms this pattern repeatedly. People below the security threshold consistently underinvest in growth opportunities because their brains categorize intelligent risks as survival threats. People above the threshold naturally take more calculated risks because their threat detection system has recalibrated to distinguish between real dangers and growth opportunities. This risk recalibration alone can transform your wealth-building trajectory. While others are paralyzed by loss aversion, you can pursue asymmetric opportunities where the potential upside dramatically exceeds the downside risk. You become capable of making decisions that scared brains simply cannot make, regardless of how much financial education they've received. The third transformation, and this is the one that contradicts conventional wisdom, is the opportunity recognition shift. Kahneman's work on the availability heuristic explains why financial security changes what opportunities we notice. When you're below the threshold, your brain operates in what researchers call threat scanning mode. You're constantly filtering your environment for potential dangers to your financial security. This threat scanning mode has an unexpected side effect. It makes you blind to opportunities. Your brain is so focused on avoiding losses that it filters out potential gains. You literally cannot see possibilities that are right in front of you because your attention is consumed by threat detection. Here's where it gets counterintuitive. Conventional wisdom says you should take more risks when you're young and have less to lose. But Kahneman's research suggests the opposite. When you have less financial security, your brain is actually less capable of recognizing good opportunities because it's operating in survival mode. Once you cross the security threshold, your brain expands its perceptual filters. You start noticing investment opportunities, business possibilities, and career paths that were always there, but that your threat-focused brain couldn't process. This isn't about becoming more optimistic. It's about your brain having the cognitive space to recognize patterns beyond immediate threats. Studies in attention research confirm this dramatically. People in financial stress show measurably narrower attention spans and reduced pattern recognition capabilities. They're so focused on immediate concerns that they miss broader trends and longer-term opportunities. Financial security literally expands your cognitive aperture, allowing you to see possibilities that stressed brains cannot perceive. This opportunity recognition shift creates a powerful acceleration effect. While others are still trapped in threat scanning mode, you're identifying multiple paths to wealth building. You see connections between trends, recognize market inefficiencies, and spot business opportunities that financially stressed people walk past every day without noticing. The fourth transformation involves what Kahneman documented as temporal discount reversal. His research showed how people value present versus future rewards differently based on their security position. When you're below the threshold, immediate needs dominate your thinking. Future rewards feel abstract and uncertain compared to present pressures. This creates what psychologists call extreme present bias. You need massive future rewards to justify any present sacrifice because your brain doesn't trust that the future will actually deliver. Why save for retirement when you're worried about next month's rent? Why invest for long-term growth when you need immediate financial relief? But crossing the security threshold does something profound to your brain's temporal processing. Future rewards become more psychologically real and valuable. You can delay gratification for more modest future returns because your brain no longer treats the future as uncertain and threatening. Research in behavioral economics shows this shift is measurable. People below security thresholds need exponentially higher future returns to motivate present sacrifice, compared to those above the threshold. A financially stressed person might need the promise of tripling their money to motivate saving. A financially secure person finds steady, compound growth compelling enough to drive consistent behavior. This temporal discount reversal enables long-term wealth building, strategies that are psychologically impossible below the threshold. You can invest for 10-year returns, build businesses with 3-year payoffs, and develop skills with delayed monetization because your brain can now genuinely value future outcomes. The reversal also affects how you perceive time itself. Financial stress creates what researchers call time poverty, where you feel constantly behind and pressed for immediate results. Financial security creates time abundance, where you can afford to be patient with compound growth and long-term development. The fifth transformation is the identity milestone effect. Before reaching 100,000, your relationship with money is characterized by constant effort and willpower. Every dollar saved feels like a sacrifice. Every investment feels like a risk. Every financial decision requires forcing yourself to do the right thing, despite your natural impulses. But crossing the threshold triggers what Kahneman called a reference point shift in your self-concept. You now have irrefutable evidence that you can build wealth. This isn't just confidence. It's a fundamental change in how you see yourself. You transition from someone trying to build wealth to someone who builds wealth. This identity shift makes wealth-building behaviors feel natural rather than forced. You don't have to convince yourself to save money. You save money because that's who you are. You don't have to force yourself to invest. You invest because wealth builders invest. The behaviors that once required massive willpower become automatic expressions of your identity. Research in behavioral psychology confirms that identity-based habits are dramatically more sustainable than goal-based habits. When you're trying to reach a financial goal, every decision requires conscious effort and emotional energy. When you're expressing your identity as a wealth builder, the decisions feel effortless because they align with your self-concept. This identity transformation also affects how you handle setbacks. Before the threshold, a bad investment or unexpected expense can derail your entire financial strategy because it threatens your fragile self-concept as someone who might be able to build wealth. After the threshold, the same setbacks feel like temporary obstacles rather than identity threats. Because you have proven evidence of your wealth-building capability, the milestone effect creates what psychologists call a self-reinforcing cycle. Your proven ability to reach 100,000 strengthens your identity as a wealth builder, which makes wealth-building behaviors feel more natural, which accelerates your progress toward the next milestone, which further reinforces your identity. This cycle explains why the second 100,000 typically comes much faster than the first. The sixth transformation involves what Kahneman documented as the compound acceleration effect. Before reaching the threshold, compound returns feel theoretical and distant. You understand the mathematics intellectually, but the growth feels too slow to maintain motivation. When you're starting with small amounts, even excellent returns produce modest absolute growth that doesn't feel meaningful. But once you cross 100,000, compound growth becomes psychologically real. You start seeing 4-figure and 5-figure annual growth from your investments, not just 3-figure returns. This visible compound growth provides tangible, psychological reinforcement that transforms your relationship with patience and persistence. Kahneman's research on the focusing illusion explains why seeing results changes motivation so dramatically. We overestimate the impact of any factor we're actively thinking about. When compound growth is abstract, it doesn't motivate behavior effectively. When compound growth becomes visible and meaningful, it dominates your financial decision-making in positive ways. The acceleration effect also changes how you think about money itself. Below the threshold, money feels like something you trade directly for goods and services. Above the threshold, money feels like something that generates more money independent of your effort. This shift from linear thinking to exponential thinking enables strategies that financially stressed people cannot psychologically access. Research shows this compound awareness creates what psychologists call future self-connection. You start making decisions today that benefit the person you'll be in 5 or 10 years, because you can emotionally connect with the compound growth you'll experience. You become willing to optimize for exponential outcomes rather than linear progress. The visible compound acceleration also reduces the psychological cost of wealth-building behaviors. Saving and investing stop feeling like sacrifices and start feeling like feeding a machine that's visibly growing your wealth. The same behaviors that once required discipline now feel rewarding because you can see their compound impact. The seventh transformation is the social capital network effect. Below the threshold, you're naturally surrounded by people in similar financial situations. Your social circle consists of others who are struggling, stressed, or just getting by. These relationships are valuable and important, but they don't provide access to wealth-building knowledge and opportunities. Crossing the threshold changes your social gravity in ways that are often unconscious. You start gravitating toward people who think differently about money, not because you're being elitist, but because your financial position allows you to participate in different activities and environments. You can afford conferences, courses, and experiences that connect you with people who have different financial perspectives. Kahneman's work on social proof influences explains how wealth circles accelerate learning. When you're surrounded by people who invest regularly, start businesses, and think strategically about money, these behaviors become normalized in your own thinking. You absorb financial strategies and opportunities through casual conversation that you never would have encountered in scarcity-focused social circles. This network effect creates exponential learning opportunities. You hear about investment strategies through dinner conversation. You learn about business opportunities through professional relationships. You discover career advancement tactics through expanded social connections. The quality and quantity of financial information flowing through your network dramatically improves. Research in social psychology demonstrates that our financial behaviors are heavily influenced by our reference groups. When your social circle consists of people who save consistently, invest regularly, and think long-term, these behaviors feel normal and achievable. When your circle consists of people who struggle financially, wealth-building behaviors feel foreign and difficult. The network effect also provides access to opportunities that are never advertised publicly. Private investment deals, business partnerships, career opportunities, and financial strategies often circulate through networks before becoming widely available. Your expanded social capital provides early access to opportunities that can significantly accelerate wealth building. The eighth transformation is the scarcity to abundance mindset shift. Below the threshold, financial decisions are made from scarcity, which narrows cognitive function in predictable ways. Scarcity thinking focuses attention on immediate needs and short-term solutions. It makes you risk-averse, creative blocking, and opportunity blind. Kahneman's research on Systems 1 and 2 thinking shows how financial security activates more deliberative decision-making. When you're not in survival mode, you can access what he called System 2 thinking, the slow, analytical, strategic part of your brain. This cognitive shift enables creative financial problem-solving that's impossible under scarcity pressure. The abundance perspective expands creative financial thinking in measurable ways. You start seeing multiple paths to wealth building, rather than desperately hoping one strategy works. You can experiment with different approaches because failure won't destroy you. You can think strategically about optimization, rather than reactively about survival. Research on cognitive psychology confirms that scarcity mindset impairs financial cognition in specific ways. It reduces long-term planning ability, decreases creative problem-solving, and increases focus on immediate threats at the expense of long-term opportunities. Financial security reverses these cognitive limitations, enabling strategic thinking that was previously impossible. The mindset shift also affects how you evaluate information. Under scarcity, you filter everything through the lens of immediate utility. Under abundance, you can consume information for future potential rather than immediate application. This allows you to build knowledge and recognize patterns that stressed brains would dismiss as irrelevant. The abundance perspective enables what researchers call strategic thinking rather than tactical thinking. Instead of just trying to solve immediate financial problems, You can design systems and strategies that prevent problems and create opportunities. This shift from reactive to proactive financial management dramatically accelerates wealth building. The ninth transformation involves what Kahneman documented as financial confidence calibration. Below the threshold, people typically suffer from either overconfidence or underconfidence in their financial abilities, both of which distort decision-making. Overconfidence leads to reckless risks, while underconfidence leads to missed opportunities. Kahneman's extensive work on calibration of judgment showed that confidence improves with experience and feedback. Reaching the 100,000 threshold provides clear evidence of your financial capability, which calibrates your confidence to more realistic levels. You develop accurate self-assessment of your financial abilities. This calibration enables better decision-making because you can distinguish between situations where you have genuine expertise and situations where you need help. You become willing to take intelligent risks in areas where you've proven competent while seeking advice in areas where you lack. Experience research shows that well-calibrated confidence leads to optimal risk-taking behavior. You're neither paralyzed by fear nor reckless with ambition. You can evaluate opportunities based on your actual capabilities, rather than emotional reactions to uncertainty. The calibration effect also improves your ability to learn from mistakes. Below the threshold, financial mistakes often trigger identity threats that prevent learning. Above the threshold, mistakes become valuable feedback because your core competence isn't threatened by temporary setbacks. This breakthrough in appropriate financial self-assessment enables sophisticated wealth-building strategies. You can build teams and systems that complement your strengths and compensate for your weaknesses. You can take calculated risks in your areas of competence while avoiding dangers in areas where you lack expertise. The 10th and final transformation is perhaps the most practical: the implementation strategy effect. Below the threshold, financial knowledge often feels useless because you lack the psychological resources to implement sophisticated strategies. Above the threshold, you can finally apply advanced wealth-building techniques effectively. This transformation enables you to use Kahneman's System 2, thinking strategically to overcome remaining psychological barriers. You can set up automatic systems that work with your psychology rather than against it. You can design your financial environment to make good decisions easy and bad decisions difficult. The threshold position allows you to implement smaller milestones that trigger psychological benefits sooner. Instead of only feeling successful at major milestones, you can create interim victories that maintain motivation and reinforce positive behaviors. You can hack your own psychology to accelerate progress. Research shows that people above security thresholds are more successful at implementing behavioral change techniques. They have the cognitive resources to design and maintain systems that people below the threshold find overwhelming or unsustainable. You can also begin teaching and mentoring others, which reinforces your own knowledge and commitment to wealth-building behaviors. The act of helping others reach the threshold strengthens your own identity as someone who builds wealth successfully. Most importantly, you can begin preparing for the next psychological threshold. Just as crossing 100,000 triggered these transformations, crossing 500,000, 1 million, and higher levels create additional psychological advantages. Understanding threshold psychology allows you to prepare for and accelerate future transformations. So we covered 10 psychological transformations that happen when you cross the $100,000 threshold, the cognitive load reduction that improves decision quality, the risk perception recalibration that enables intelligent risk-taking, the opportunity recognition shift that expands what you can see, the temporal discount reversal that makes long-term thinking possible, the identity milestone effect that makes wealth building feel natural, the compound acceleration effect that makes growth visible and motivating, the social capital network effect that upgrades your information and opportunities, the scarcity to abundance mindset shift that enables strategic thinking, the financial confidence calibration that improves self-assessment, and the implementation strategy effect that makes advanced techniques accessible. Remember, these psychological shifts are necessary but not sufficient for building wealth. Your mindset matters and your circumstances matter, Both are true. Understanding threshold psychology helps you optimize decision-making within your reality. It doesn't guarantee outcomes or eliminate systemic barriers, but it does explain why the first 100,000 rewires your brain in ways that make subsequent wealth building exponentially easier. If this explanation of wealth threshold psychology gave you clarity about why building that first 100,000 feels so difficult, subscribe to this channel right now so you don't miss the next deep dive into behavioral economics and the psychology of money. We're exploring the real research, the documented patterns, the frameworks that actually build wealth, not the motivational content that feels good but doesn't work. Your challenge: pick one psychological transformation from this video and begin practicing it this week. Even before you reach the financial threshold, train your brain to think like someone who's already crossed the $100,000 milestone. Because the mental transformation creates the external reality. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 10 psychological shifts you recognized in yourself or in wealthy people you know, and which one you're going to start practicing first. The first 100,000 is the hardest because your brain is working against you. Every subsequent 100,000 becomes easier because your brain starts working with you. Now you understand why.